at all?
I see the meeting is being recorded. It just popped up on my screen.
Yeah, I record them and then I put them out on YouTube.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
If you go on YouTube and you look up MICK11, that's the name I put it under.
Oh,
And you can find them there. I've got cows in there and I have a couple other videos. So I'm trying to make sure I'm in there.
Mostly of Mick catching fish, but he has other videos in there.
Yeah.
okay.
A GoPro and I stuck it under the water while I was catching some trout. It turned out pretty good.
All right, I saw Chris joined on.
Yeah, he's
You give me crap. I said, "Are you joining?" He goes, "No." So he's still feeling proud from Saturday's fishing.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that was really cool, but man, I was really sore the next day. Oh,
It just means you did it right then.
I don't know how I got this to work last time. I don't know if you
You're
guys
good.
can.
Really good.
Huh?
I said that looks good.
I mean, can you see it well enough though? I went ahead and
If
pre-started.
Yeah. Can you the light that is to your right? Yeah. So now can you come around with that? Is that a flex arm on your light?
No, yeah. Well, kind of. Like put it behind it or something?
Yep. Yep.
Let me see. I guess I should have done this beforehand, huh?
No, this is part of going with it. Kevin, shush you.
Hello.
He's also feeling his oats from Saturday. How sore were you?
I couldn't move my arm on Sunday.
So what did you guys do Saturday while I was away?
Saturday was the Vets Fish Free event down at Merrimack Springs.
Oh,
And these two young men got out for the first time on moving water
Oh my
with their fly rods, and they both caught how many trout, gentlemen?
3.
3 each.
12.
We couldn't have planned that any better as far as both for 3. So
And Merrimack's tough.
Merrimack's really tough for that. And so what prompted Chris being our tire tonight is because Chris's flies produced both. That was Kevin's first trout on a fly rod, his second time on the water. And then Chris has been on the water with bluegill and some bass and some other stuff. This was his first time wading and in the water, and also his first trout as well. So it was good. I think in total, Merrimack maybe did 50 tags all day for the Vets Fish Free, but again, it just looks different than it used to. But we'll get back there next year. And
Sorry, my daughter just got here from out of town.
you need some supervision.
I know. My wife's on her way to Florida.
I know, that's what I said.
Can you
That's why
imagine if
when I
me and
say-
Kevin were together right now and nobody was here?
No.
That'd be bad.
So
Good time.
well, that's why I
Well,
sent you
yeah.
the text. And I sent you the text, and I'm like, "Are you on? Are you getting on?" And I actually, before you jumped on, I said, "No, you're unsupervised at the moment." So
Yep.
I'm gonna switch over, and it helps if I actually move my camera so you guys can see underneath my desk. There you go.
Ooh.
Ooh.
So, Chris, do you think that's kind of similar
Yeah.
to your big and ugly? So it's kind of a woolly bugger, kind of not a woolly bugger. Chris has been tying for just a little bit over a year and only had the pleasure of meeting 2 times in person. And so all this has been done via internet and our virtual conversation. So we're going to go ahead and explain this fly out, Chris, and then I'll jump in as far as buying materials and kind of what the rest of it is as far as how to fish this.
Well, I tied one the other, well, that night actually, when I got back, something a little different. I don't know if it's different or the same, but, or if you can even see this thing.
Yep, you're great on that. Just
I
pull it back
used-
towards you a little bit. There you go.
I used a brass or gold head, like brass cone for the front of this one instead of the bead, but I put lead on it to make it, you know, give it the weight that it should. And then let's see, this is a marabou. I think it's dark brown, almost black or something. And then I put some regular, just clear crystal flash in it, and then put some of this, looks like copper. I think it is actually. Yeah, copper flashaboo. And then for the body, I got a piece of, well, I put some copper wire on it, but the body is dubbing. And I used a peacock curl. The purple is, oh, it's a really pretty color. And then yeah, just hackle around the rest of it. Did the hackle and then came back, well, did the hackle backwards and then came forward with the wire. But yeah, it worked. I'm just playing around and made it one day, and then I thought it was pretty cool.
It worked great, and it was funny because Kevin would need a fly change or something. He's like, I want something like what I was using before. And I said, I don't know. I was looking for the biggest ones in my fly bag too. So Chris is now our designated tire for Merrimack because everything we were throwing of Chris's was working. So, okay, Chris, go to town here.
All right. I already started off. I put the lead on there. Well, the cone first after I debarbed it, put the cone on. Wrap the lead on it, slid it back, put a little, well, Amy always swears by the Loctite, but I got some of this Gorilla Glue stuff right here too, and I'll use that. That way I just hold it in place and kind of hold the cone from moving all around. And then I started my thread behind it and then wrapped over it and then back down. Did it a couple times just to kind of a little extra hold there. And then now I'm gonna tear me off some marabou, start the tail. Stuff's a pain in the butt. And just loose wrap it to get it where I want it to sit on there. And then just go back a little bit back here, and I'll go back over it, trying to clean it up, because a lot of times I'll cut the thread. So I just kind of try to cover it up as best as possible. And then I'm going to throw some flash in there if I can get it unstuck. I'm going to put the copper on. I got some gold this time. I'm going to use the copper and gold just to, I don't know why, I just want to. Got me about 4 strands, put them off. I mean, it's going to have a lot to cut off, but you know, that's the way it goes. Kind of lay it on one side. Well, I swear this stuff hates me. Get it on there, get it started. I'll take this side back. And then I don't know why I do this different every time I do it. Put them on the other side. I gotta use a different bobbin. This thing is like super loose. Yeah. Just wrap back over it, wrap back up to the back of the weight. Cover it up a little bit there. I mean, I know I'm gonna have to cut that off, so all right. Now I'm gonna put a little bit of this gold in there. Same thing, just a flash of it. I can get it to cooperate here. I think it kind of melted in there or something. That was pretty wild. So anyways, got a piece. Kind the same thing, just lay it out there because I know I'm gonna cut some off anyways. I'd rather have too much than not enough. Oh, wow, that's a whole lot. It's okay. Same thing, just wrap it up real good. Back to the back here. Now I'm gonna put some more marabou on the top of that because I pushed it down. These loose wraps. Just to get it on there. Yeah, this freaking bobbin is aggravating. All right. I got that on there.
Chris, switch out your bobbin. If it's driving you crazy, just switch out to a different color. Just tie it off and put it on a different color.
I mean, I guess good.
We got time. You're going really fast. You're gonna be done in like another 5 minutes. So we have plenty of time.
This is aggravating. Oof. All right. I'm just gonna put purple on there because I'm gonna do the purple body anyways. And Kevin, you start your thread at a 45, right? Like that.
You're talking about at an angle?
Yeah, and then you catch it going back over it. I'm still trimmering from the other day when we were fishing. Crazy. It was a good day though. I had a blast.
I have some of the most amazing photos. Just I'll send you guys. It's just it was just the big smiles. So anyway.
All right, well, give me some of this. Well, I got to take the thread back a little bit. I forgot that I had to start over. All right, I want to get me a piece of this copper wire. I'm using the thin stuff. It's well, it doesn't even say on there. It says medium. Okay.
Wow. What size is the hook?
Honestly, I don't know. I just grabbed one.
Okay.
I would say 10. I'm using an 8 on the one I'm tying, Bob. So at 8 or a 10, and then with as much body and everything we're adding in, you can go at 2x on the length. And these were big and they were producing, and not like streamer or articulated big, but these were hardy flies, and every single one of them were producing. And so it's mostly like almost a mohair leech with that bead head, and it got down fast enough. It was a hot day here. It almost got up to 90. And so everything was kind of just down in the shadows.
Oh, sure.
And but yeah, an 8 or a 10.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is. I just seen one that it looked long enough and grabbed it.
Was that the size you were using on Saturday?
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Now I'm putting some dubbing on there because I think it looks better than using like Chanel or something to make the body. I just like the color of this stuff. So I know I'm probably gonna need some more. I wrap a couple in the back just to a little more. I don't know, I like to make the bodies of these things really thick for some reason.
I'll also add in, for all the flies that we fished of yours, Chris, only one hackle came off, and that was after Kevin's, I don't know, 5th miss and 2nd fish. And then the hackle came off. But other than that, they were durable.
Yeah, they got abused Saturday. That's
They
for
did.
sure.
they got beat up.
All right, now I'm gonna put the hackle on so I can run that back, and then I'll catch it with. I already lost the wire and all this mess over here. All right. I'm gonna clean it off where I want to start it at. Actually, I guess I didn't have to do that because I'm gonna do it this way. So I'm putting the top of the feather down. Try to drop it here. Blinded by this light. Eventually I'll figure it out and get something set up where it's a little better. I'm not blinded myself. Find my hackle pliers, sorry.
Chris, before you go further,
Mhm.
can you take that out
What, this?
and either start it at the other end? Yep, go ahead. You can just pull it. It should pull out.
I was gonna
your
start
hack-
it this end and run it back, and then I was gonna
Okay.
trap it with the wire.
Okay, do it that way. And so to get that tapered look,
Yeah, exactly. Tie in the butt first.
Apparently I picked a very bad piece of hackle.
yep, I was gonna say, just pull it back out and start it over again. It didn't look like a good lie on your tie-in.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
yeah,
So-
I mean, I can just trim it up.
Nope. We're gonna you're like, dang it. Keep on going. All right.
Hey, let the man tie his fly.
He's doing
Thanks.
great.
Thanks.
Oh, and the Marine speaks. Welcome, Les. Nice to see you. Not.
Yeah,
All right.
still looking like crap. I should have just got a new feather, but I'm not. I'm just gonna leave it.
Oh, God.
Oh well.
There.
So now I'm just gonna
Okay.
kind of, weave it through. That's all I really did. So now I got it secured where it's not going anywhere with the wire. Cut this off. And it's definitely ugly. Oof. Ugly. All right, I'm gonna whip finish into this and then I'm gonna cut it off. Actually, I like the way I just covered up that feather with this purple thread. I like that. All right, so now I got that done. I can cut it off, clean it up, at least make it kind of uniform. And then, just cut this back wherever. I like it to be a little bit longer than the tail itself. I just like it for some reason. But yeah, that's it. That's what I did. I threw some stuff together playing around.
You put it on a
Very
wall,
nice.
look at it.
I couldn't hear him.
All right. So outstanding, Chris. And guys, if you haven't been on the camera and doing this stuff, it's nerve-wracking. And it's you're aware of everybody looking, and it's nerve-wracking. So congratulations, Chris. Great job. And and when I was watching that, I was like, I know you're not happy with that lie of that feather. I already knew it. So
Not at all, but I was ready to
I
get
only
off.
called you out on that. And I'm like, pull it off, do it again. But great job. And for anybody who's on here and like the perfect way or anything, it's we all start somewhere, and I think that's the biggest measure of success is catching a fish on your fly. There's ways that come and we get better as we start doing this and we start seeing more of, but I couldn't be more happy for you, and especially because you've been tying, and Chris has like hundreds of flies. You guys, I'm not kidding. He has hundreds of flies. And even when his wife says, why do you guys tie so many flies? I'm like, I don't know. We just do. But he's, lots of practice on here, but finally on Saturday, to see a fly catch, and then what Kevin was also using, it's just cool. And so
Yeah, it was my first
Thank you.
trout too.
it was your first trout, and yeah, we had a lot of firsts on that. So it was great. And I know Chris was getting nervous on okay, I won't say you were getting nervous, but you were kind of getting fast on there. And I know that's what it does being on the camera and stuff. So this was one of Chris's, and I'll switch over my camera again. Kind of almost duplicated because I actually had one. I had one on my bag when I got home. So it was short of the orange, because he used an orange bead head and orange and the black, and he had crystal flash in there. And it was, again, it was awesome. And then the other thing is that pulling it in, and they were all taking the fly within 15 feet of where you're standing. So when you can watch it and your heart starts racing, you're like, don't yank it out of their mouth. Don't yank it out of their mouth. So, but this is great. And again, classic woolly bugger with your own spin on it. So that was fun. Anybody have any questions for Chris or on woolly buggers in general?
I think I'm at Chris's house after this so he can teach me all the terms because you guys are speaking Chinese.
Yeah, we kind of do that. So Kevin, we just kind of kidnapped one day. He met us up at one of the lakes. He's a friend of Chris's. And he said, no, I don't want to. He rode up on his motorcycle. He had his riding boots on and everything. And we handed him a fly rod and then coerced him to actually go and try to catch fish. And he did. And then we convinced him to come out to Merrimack on Saturday, and he did. And through a donation, so we loaded him up with some waders and stuff, and he took to it. And he was in probably one of the harder casting areas because there were trees all around him, and I don't think he lost any in the trees, Kevin, at least not any that we witnessed.
No.
And there's no pictures of it. So if there's no pictures, then that means
It didn't happen.
Didn't
Didn't
happen.
happen.
Didn't exist.
Didn't happen. So, but yeah, and now we've got Kevin just registered, finished all of his paperwork, and is all legit. So welcome.
Thanks, Amy.
Glad to have you here. And we don't speak Chinese too much, but we'll start talking about different things. I'm going to go through a little bit. I know you guys are on here. You've been teaching for years, a lot more experience than I do, that I have in regards to even. So the woolly bugger is the classic one that we sit down and tie. And the reason being is because this larger style fly, and we've done dries and we've done a lot with foam and a lot of different things too. Those, to maneuver those, take a little bit more practice and perfect practice, and then you get better flies. So same as what Chris had, as far as I've already preloaded this, I have a white bead in front. And marabou. So this is marabou. It comes strung together. I don't know who has this job that actually gets to weave all these little pieces on here. Marabou it comes in all kinds and kinds of packs. So you can go in and you look at it and you're kind of going, okay, it looks good, right? And we talk about taking materials out, and you have some in regards to longer feathers, some that are more fluffy, and just the different colors. And this comes in everything. And I didn't even go into the bag too much. Then all of a sudden you find some marabou, oops, and it has a hide on the back. And so what do you do with this in different parts too? So typically for your woolly buggers, look for a strung olive. And then when you pull it out, you want to look for kind of the cording in this, the length of it, in regards to kind of what you want to use. So this is just a standard. This is an 8 on, and I'm going to tie on. And so I've got actually black. Is John right on this call? I didn't even see him on yet.
Yes.
So,
Hey, Amy.
Yeah, I finally got here.
okay.
Is that plastic bead Is it bead plastic?
No,
What-
this is a
Brass.
lead. Yep,
That's
so this
lead?
is more, this is gonna be you've got on your brass, and it's a Cyclops painted.
Okay,
All right.
Okay, yeah, that's
And-
brass.
And what I like with this is when you buy them in the packs like this, so 24 came to a pack, and it'll actually tell you on the chart what size hook it goes to.
Hmm.
And so when you're looking at this, and how many times have we tried to buy beads and you get home and they won't fit on any? And so I always look, so this will go on to a 6, 8, or a 10. It cuts down on the frustration part of it as opposed to using glass. And I didn't add any lead or lead free on the wire. I didn't add any in, but it comes on a spool like this. And I also have it on one of my bobbins that is worthless for any threads because it splits, is broken out in the insides, but it works for my lead wire. And I actually use this on a bobbin. And so that's pretty much how I usually put lead on, but I keep it over here. If you wanted to add that in, and I can kind of show on here, my thread's already anchored in. And so I can just come in and I'm going to put that in just like I would a thread right there. Come in, use my wire scissors, as I've told you guys. I saw when Chris was cutting with his nippers, I smiled. So I'm like, yay. Sometimes you just want to make sure stuff sits, that people remember. Don't use your good scissors. Coming in, you can cut it or you could keep winding it, but that's just a little bit more weight to it along with the bead head. Back to the marabou. And again, this isn't the traditional as far as with a woolly bugger. This is Chris's version of a woolly bugger and it worked. And so therefore he gets to claim this one. This is, I don't know what the fly name is, but it's his take on it. So normally with this, when you're looking at the feather parts of it, these little really spiky parts at the end, for a traditional woolly bugger, you wouldn't use those because what happens is it hangs too long and it changes the taper of that fly. So a lot of times if you just come in and almost just, you guys have all cleaned corn, it's kind of like that same thing where you're pulling off. And you can make it without the sharp, abrupt cut. So it gives a little bit more natural, but I'm just breaking them. If your hands aren't working right that day, you can break it on the back of your scissors and it'll do. And the difference is that if I take this and now just to give you that sharp, abrupt, it's like that first day haircut where it's like, whoa, and it just changes the whole shape of the fly. So I tend to tear it and it looks a little bit more natural coming off the back. Tying this in, and I'll actually use a different one. I can show you the same. So you just pull it out of like all this woven part. And again, it's just threads. It's just the full feather.
Amy,
Kind
have
of
you,
see what,
oh,
go ahead.
have you tried wetting your marabou before you tie it on?
Nope. The reason why I don't is because if you ever use black marabou, and I have some sitting right here, and if you wet it, it's going to stain everything that you're working on. Some of the
God.
stains,
I
some of
haven't-
the stains are not reliable, and I don't have a wet sponge down here tonight. But I've actually, so to give you an example, I'll run my hand over it. Okay, this is just like regular finger pressure, but can you see on the pad of my finger?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I don't,
I have some marabou like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I avoid that.
yeah, and I really don't find, I mean, you can if it's really unruly or if you're tying. The other thing I've talked about is static art on your hand so that you can kind of manipulate it a little bit more. There's a lot of different things that you can do to kind of keep the marabou in control. But wetting it, you can a little bit, but take it over a sponge and then put it on here, but it will stain anything that you're working on. So this black would then bleed into a white. And so that's why I typically try to work with, it's going to do it no matter what in your fly box too. Just because but again, you kind of come in and you can break those. Some of them don't want to break as easily. Spread it out. and you just kind of come through and you pull all those. So, and I'll leave some of them longer. So tying this in, and there's two different things, is that if you go too fast and you just roll over and you're not really paying attention to it, it's going to roll on you. It's not going to position. So instead, roll over
Good.
once, and you're going to kind of do an anchor so that it stays put. And you could leave everything as is right now. And just like what Chris had done, you could tie in your copper, you could tie in your hackle feather and all of the other parts of it. And you could just take this up the front and just palmer it. And that gives all that same fuzzy look, like what he did with the dubbing. I like dubbing too. And so I like to dub or add in, and I don't use chenille a lot. But with this and with your feather, you guys should see this out of my hand. I just picked up almost every feather, came up with my scissors. Somewhere they're static in my house. So see how I kind of turn that feather, and then I'm going to come in at that angle on top, always cut on top. And that makes that nice little ramp. Now I can come in and it smashes down so that my shape is going to stay more uniform. Okay, the flash that Chris was using, there's a lot. You've got your Flashaboo, which is a more smooth texture. It's almost like a tinsel. And it's kind of smooth. You can see, again, it looks like just some really cool colors. There's amazing. It can hypnotize you. And then you have your crystal flash and some of the others that almost look kinked, and they have much more texture to them. They're easy to use, or more easy, because your thread wants to actually grab and you can work off that resistance. I don't have a purple for you today, Chris, but I'll use a kind of a blue and orange. So same thing, what he was saying is grab in a couple pieces, and what you're doing is layering the back of this fly. On a lot of this, again, it's just kind of trial and error. Come up, and I'm going to pull this so that it goes around. And so I've got it positioned pretty much like how I would do wings. And you guys have seen me do that too. And now I'm going to grab all of that section, and I'm going to go back and kind of anchor that. And I can leave it along because I'm not going to trim it until the end, until I see all the finish length. And and the other thing is you can leave it longer. If you're on the water and all of a sudden you're missing some hits, maybe come in and adjust this tail, because it's getting all this and not getting up where the hook is.
Yeah.
But I don't cut any of this until I'm finished with. So now, just to show you kind of as far as the layering process, this is one I've gone in and almost cleaned up. And I'm going to take this white over the top. And like what Chris was showing is he likes that longer where it hangs out the back, but then you can adjust. So if you wanted the longer, go for one of the more kind of floaty feathers. I don't really know what the technical term is. And feathers tend to have an up and a down. So you want to go towards the curve, kind of lay that over the top, a little bit veiled. Same thing, hold this in place, anchor tie, and snug it in. Okay, it's not going to pull out now. And that's all you need to do. You can go in a few times, but usually your second or third, that's all that you need in regards to tying in. Same thing, you could take this up, and the term is palmering. So you could take that up to the front and then advance your thread and lock that in, or you can go back and do the chenille. Both work. And when we do mohair leeches and things like that, that's exactly the pattern you're working with. So same, get that in, get that all kind of bumped down. And we're thinking profile still. So I'm going to use chenille. I know mostly because I probably tired you guys to death on doing dubbing, and I love to do dubbing. So I've learned it correctly, Bob, just to let you know so that you have it documented.
Do you see a difference?
No, but But I appreciate, because I mean, it makes sense, and I understand that. And so, yes, I go towards the bend now that I was schooled in that. But
Bob,
it
makes a
did,
difference for me, so there you go.
it does. And as you start doing that, and you're kind of like, oh, and now it almost feels wrong if I start doing it the other way. So I've corrected it. And I definitely see where it adds more durability to the fly, because it's going the correct way. And I never knew I was doing it wrong. So that's the most cool part of it. So that was kind of fun. So chenille, if any folks who have been around St. Louis for a while, Denny Kaprinsky and I tied across from each other at Monday nights for years. I actually think it was about a year. And so every week, Denny would tie a woolly bugger. And Denny has a story about when he was a kid in a chenille. And I actually can't even pick up chenille without laughing and thinking of that, because he talked about being a kid and having to wear a chenille sweater and how he hated the smell of it and everything. And yeah, chenille actually does have a really weird odor to it, but chenille is cool for these because it also comes in kind of a variegated as well. So you can buy, and they come on the little cards and all this stuff. And it's kind of a trick because you think, oh, $2.95. But it's all this stuff. It is not yarn. You can buy chenille yarn. Absolutely. Chenille also comes in different diameters. And so this one's a micro, and this is going to be used for a smaller. So it's something, if I were covering the length of this, I would use more of a medium or a larger size.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll just use a black on this. And the other thing is when you see all these little cards, just because you see a card in a shop doesn't mean it's chenille. Read it, because some of them, like this is a floating yarn. And so if I were to do this, and it would actually counterbalance. So I've got weight on here, I've got a lead on here, and then I added floating yarn. It doesn't get down where I wanted. So read the labels. I typically, for other things that I take out of the container or out of the packaging, like my flash, most chenille I'll keep in the packages. And just so I know, if I don't, then I write on what it is, just to make sure I don't pick up one in error. So we'll do the black on the chenille, and this you can add in the wire if you want to. Surely it will add some durability and keep that hackle in place. And again, out of all the flies that we destroyed of Chris's, none of the hackle came off, which is amazing for a first year tire. That's usually the first thing that gets destroyed, and none of them did. All of them held up to every durability test you can put out there. And so that's pretty cool. With this, it's an over and under process with. On where I keep my thread position is just what I've learned from doing this. So see how I didn't advance my thread, but I'm actually coming up behind my thread, and my thread is moving. It's just my preference. You can do it however you want to, but I found that this actually adds in a little bit more, kind of like the wire, what Chris had done. You can go back, you can add more bulk on this. And again, I'm on black. We're still trying to, we're still trying to keep the shape that we want.
Amy.
Yes, sir.
When do you change to white thread?
Yeah. I don't know. I was just feeling like out of the norm. So I put on black thread. I would say use white thread when you're using white feathers. I was going to use, but I have a light color shirt on tonight. So I figured black would be easier to see. So there was my rhyme and reason of what I'm tying. So I've got this in place too. Now we've talked about the hackle and grizzly, and there's also things called bugger packs, and you can buy the packs. I don't have any sitting here handy, but we talked about when you buy these great big, and it's an investment, and you're just kind of like, oh yay, a bunch of dry flies and all this stuff. And I've talked about how turn it on the side, and it can go either way. It doesn't matter right or left. But how you have your thinner hackle on this. Well, I want this big and meaty. And so I do not want to use kind of my dry fly or the smaller flies, I want to go for something that has a little bit more girth to it when I tie it. And so I'm going to come right in here. I do not use something in regards to, measuring or anything else. It's just, it's eyeball. It's what you like. It's a feather that talks to you the loudest. And so I'm going to grab one of those out. And when you get these, they're really fluffy kind of at the end. They actually have a whole nother under with this part too. And so Chris started his up at the front. He started it incorrectly because he wants this taper going. On a traditional, as far as a woolly bugger, you'd actually pick your length, come in. I'm a hoarder, so I'm a gatherer, so I'm gonna save this little part for another fly. But I'm actually gonna start mine more at the end on this part and go forward to kind of create a whole different look as far as the aerodynamic. Either way will work. So also we've talked about feathers, and they have a natural curve to them. They have a light side and a dark side. So the dark side, I typically always want to my dominant side that I'm tying with. And I'm going to come in under here. I'm going to pinch that at kind of a 45-degree angle. And I'm going to come up 1, 2, and that's in place. And now I'm going to move this feather, and I'm going to go in front, and I'm going to go ahead and first off, if you're cutting under here, just because it drives you crazy, you can, but move your thread out of the way. Otherwise, you've done a lot of work and it just got lost. Advance your thread up, put it behind the bead. And now, so like what we've done previously, but taking this around, and you're going to start to see the lie on this. And if I knock the camera off, I'll see you guys in a minute. Yep, just did it. So it's kind of a long feather, and of course it's grabbing on everything, including my threads. And as you're doing this, and how you see the feathers are going back towards the back. So I'm kind of manipulating it. I'm kind of pulling this across, and I'm also helping everything move back that way. But what I really am doing is imagining the quill section of it coming as close as I can on to the chenille, and that one just turned on me. So again, you can just keep on going, but you can see how that shape starts building. Pull it back, and again, just like how we're trying to manipulate the feathers to go. It knocked in right behind the bead, and I actually heard the snap that I want to, because it means it's set between the bead and the chenille. I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna lock that in. So I'm going my 2 times behind it, clear everything, move all this stuff back out of my way. And I'm a whip finisher, so that's the way I like to finish and set it. Do that triangle up and over. And on here, if you wanted to use some head cement and you're just more comfortable with it, use it. You don't need it on the bead. What you want to do is drop it behind so that it kind of gets right in that little groove. Come in. I always cut my thread first, and then I come back and cut my feather after I've cut my thread. Make sure I get down in there. And again, it has that tapered look, but it still has the streamer portion of it going. So this is going to be something you would fish, and you can let it drift, go start upstream, let it drift downstream. And then when it gets downstream, start stripping it in, and then just kind of wait all the way till it comes in before you pull it out to go again. You can cast downstream and just let it kind of drift, let it sit for a little bit. And Chris and Kevin, what was I telling you guys? Count to 10, let it get to where you want it to do, and then you start stripping it. And so it's just strip, strip, rest, strip, strip, rest. The biggest error is fish is coming up, you see them right there, mouth open and everything, and they're going for it, and you go, oh, what am I on? Strip, strip, rest, or yank. you get excited. Everyone does. Everybody does it.
Oh, it's
That's the
slippery
hardest
up
part
there,
about
yeah.
sight fishing, when they come in. But if I was fishing this and started having some solid hits on it, but it wasn't taken the way I wanted to, on the river, pulling this off, taking my nippers, coming in, and I'm adjusting the length of this so that it's more in line, or it gets that more tapered look to it. And that's all I have. Anybody
You'll
else?
avoid short strikes by doing
Yep.
that.
Yep. And because otherwise they get a mouthful here. And what you want is that full, you want an aggressive take. You can cast this across and let it drift a little bit and then do almost an angle strip in, but you want a hard strike on this. If you're getting a bunch of this, yeah, adjust this or go to a different angle on how you're pulling it in. So that's what I have. I have feathers everywhere.
Amy, would you want to put some wire on at the end?
You mean add wire in like what Chris did on his and pull it up to the front? Absolutely. I mean, you can. I'm not worried about the weight, and I'm not worried about the sinking rate on this one. It's going to go down pretty fast on it. I added lead wire already underneath. So the wire in here, from durability wise, it depends. If you don't think your wraps are going to hold it in place, then sure, add some wire in there. But I don't come across enough toothy ones that you know what, and if something's tearing up my flies at the end of the day, I'm hoping that's a great day. So I don't add much. I add wire in for other things, but I don't add it in to get an extra fish out of the day from this.
Okay, I got a question for everybody.
why
And this is fly related.
did she use black thread? No.
As a part of going through recovering from flood damage 2 weeks ago, I found an old box that I hadn't seen in a long time. This one right here. And inside that old box were flies I tied almost 40 years ago. One
That's
of them,
awesome.
well, actually two of them, was this guy. Now, I didn't tie this. This was tied for me by a guy by the name of Don Peterball in the Arkansas River. And he tied it for me as a brook trout fly because I was going up to some of the high lakes to do some brook trout fishing. I want to tie that, but I have absolutely no idea what its name is. So can anybody possibly identify that?
Never seen it.
Yeah, me either. Me either. It's got a badger hackle or a grizzly hackle. It's half orange, half yellow body with a silver rib. It looks like red kip tail.
Yeah.
And if you can see the tops right there, it's just the tips of some grizzly hackle.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know what it's called. I mean, it's easy to tie, but I just don't know what it's called.
What is he? What has he got for a body? I can't quite see.
Let's see if you can see. I don't know if you can. Yeah, I can't get in close enough to it. I don't have my phone here. It's orange and yellow tying thread, or it might be floss. I can't tell.
Oh,
Back
okay.
in those days, we didn't have the UTC stuff, so we used floss.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's that one. And then here's another one that he also tied, was just slightly different. And this one had a constant color body, just all orange, but same basic construction, except instead of being red kip tail, it was yellow. So I don't know if this was a Don Peterball original, if he just tied it up for me or what it was, but I do remember it was extraordinarily effective. I mean, I caught brook trout in almost every single cast with this little guy. So anyway, just throw it out to the group, see if anybody knew what it was.
Unsure.
Looks like it'd be a fun. Looks like it'd be a fun one. It also looks like it used up a lot of different materials.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll give it a try. I'll try tying some, see what I come up with.
All right. Anybody else? Any questions or anything? And again, I know it was kind of several different variations. It's not necessarily the standard. The woolly bugger was the first fly I learned how to tie. I'm pretty sure it was for a lot of folks. Just because, and then I went to streamers straight after that, because the more material you could tie on a hook. Yep. There
First
you go.
flies I ever tied.
Yep.
Yep.
And olive, olive and black. I don't know what, what that combination is, but man, olive and black. And that's what you have to have. So it seems like the beginner fly. And yeah, I have some of my first ones up because they just kept getting bigger and uglier. And if you ever want to know what emo's for, it works great for this little hackle part of it. Even if people tell you it doesn't, emu works great for that. But I caught fish with them. But it's a good one to get down the practice of it. Like how to layer in. Again, the last item used is the first item or one of the first items tied in. So, John, I can see you're watching some kind of cooking show or something in the background. We got like the high tech double mega.
Yeah, that's a commercial. I'm not sure what exactly they're doing there. So I was watching the news, I mean, I apologize anyway for being late, but I just did installed a new operating system on this computer, and the Zoom just would not want to run. I had to uninstall it, reinstall it, and do all kinds of stuff. So
Well, glad you made it in. Is my
Yeah.
connection better tonight?
oh yeah, much better.
So I did the whole direct thing. It's coming straight out of my box, straight into the computer on all the computers in the house. So it looks like a little origami thing upstairs, or I don't know. Looks like a little. It's kind of interesting. The drills will be coming out this week to get it to drop down, like what I talked to you about. Like, nope, it's just going straight through.
I'm not getting any breakup from you at all, and I'm not getting any interruptions. It's a nice straight stream.
And I can see everybody tonight too. It's the best
Yeah.
picture I've had. So
Yeah, it makes a big difference, when you go from 10 kilobytes to 100, or in your case, probably a gigabit. So
yeah. And I'm done with the Wi-Fi between. Anyway, I mean, I still have it. We'll see if all my other stuff works better because they're not. It's not pulling on the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it should work much better.
Yeah.
And everybody else in your house will appreciate you too, because you're not stealing all their bandwidth now.
Yeah, I don't have anybody else to fight with on that. So
Okay.
bandwidth, what's that word? No, no, that's all good. Anybody have anything or any questions? Anybody else fishing tips?
Be able to
Anything?
get like person lessons on tying and stuff, or
You can get personal lessons on this, Kevin. So
No,
yeah,
you
we
can't.
will do, now that you have Zoom and you're all fancy, and then later this week, I'll set you up with 2 teams. And so we can connect, or we can do a video call and get you going on this. We've got plenty of,
Amy doesn't stop talking, so she'll help you out anytime.
Holy shit.
Amy, you noticed I'm silent right now?
Well, yeah, you're the only one that's not in trouble now. Oh my gosh, that made my eyes water.
did you guys notice how I turned off my camera for a moment there?
Were you flipping him off?
Perhaps. Could have happened in an alter ego, in an alter universe, right? No, okay, Les. So then you're gonna work with Kevin. You're gonna get him all trained and up to speed then. The new guy who says we're speaking Greek.
As long as he wants to tie stuff that's big, not the little stuff.
Not the little stuff.
Well, he's an army. He likes big things.
No.
Is anybody going down to Montauk this week?
I'm not. Nope. Well, I'm kind of near the house this week. Are you going to Montauk?
Yeah, Lynn and I were talking about going down there probably Wednesday, Thursday. Probably Thursday.
I think the water's getting back. It was high for a little bit and really off color, but I think it's getting back in the good range now.
Well,
But yeah, take pictures.
I
Take
haven't been to
pictures.
Montauk in about 3 years. Just from
Middle of the week should be great. Saturday, Sunday in Missouri is no license, no fishing tags, no nothing. It's a free for all. So anybody who wants to get out and go brave that, you're welcome to. But every park, no license, no tags. It's trying to get folks on the water, and it's cool. They'll have a couple thousand people between all the parks, but it will be something. Take your patience if you're trying to go on Saturday or Sunday,
Oh my God.
because it is. Yep, it's.
Oh,
And it's great. It's great. I mean, it's just like the kids fish free events. It brings tons of people out. It's like our vets fish free that we just did. Brings tons of people out. But that one is reminiscent of last year as far as it'll be a little bit full.
Just go outside the
Roll
park,
cast.
go
Sorry?
outside the park, go down to Baptist Camp and all that area.
You wouldn't need to on the weekdays. You shouldn't. On the weekdays, I would bet you'd almost have the place to yourself. Especially up in that catch and release past the bridge. If you go up and go to the left of the hatchery, you'll have that almost all to yourself. You'll see like 3 regulars up there, but other than that, you should be in good shape anywhere in the park.
Okay.
Just Saturday and Sunday is it's all fish free. It's everyone. Anybody who wants to come out, and they try to watch the zones and everything like that, but it'll be more full than it's usually. But the campgrounds can only take a certain capacity, and then that's done. So it's just drive-in traffic. But even at Merrimack, it was a slow start. It didn't pick up until probably about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and then it got very, very busy in the afternoon. But that's Merrimack. I mean, it's still fished pretty well.
So you
for
cannot,
Merrimack.
Amy, you can't just go to the park and pay for a site on the day that you get there. Do you have to have reservations?
Due to COVID last year and the high demand for that, and so all the parks went to reservation only, and they're 1 year in advance right now. So showing up on day of, Mick camps more often, and you'd be more familiar with this, but 99% you're not going to be able to find a spot. I mean, you might just get lucky, but there is no first come, first serve anymore with any of the state parks of Missouri.
Especially the trout parks like Bennett,
Yeah.
River. It's good luck.
Yeah. And it's a
What
year
about
out.
What about the national, the federal down at, I forgot the name of it. It's down by
Mark Twain?
There's a federal camping down there.
Like Mark Twain, or you thinking?
No, down by Montauk. If you go down the river where the low level bridge is down there. And
Tan Bat? Yeah, Tan Bat is when you come out of the park and you go a little bit more, and you can't camp there at Tan Bat, but there's a lot of private campgrounds. It's just Pleasant Valley. There's tons of different campgrounds. There's the other one that's up at the top of the hill with the cell tower. You can try them, but I would recommend anywhere. It's summer season, it's travel season. And so unless you like sleeping in your car, I would recommend getting on some sort of website and trying to make a reservation somewhere. But Pleasant Acres, Pleasant Valley, Les, do you know what that is? Where the trout bust is, or Dave Witt?
Pheasant Acres?
Oh, the Pheasant Acres is outside of Merrimack. But what's the one for
Merrimack.
Yeah, but what's the one for September for the trout bust?
Oh, September the trout bus is actually at Merrimack, but it's at is it Pinecrest?
Oh, Pinecrest. Oh, at Montauk at
Yep.
Pinecrest.
That's
Yeah.
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 No, what I was talking about, there's the national park has a campsite outside of Montauk downstream. There's a bridge down there, and they do a lot of canoeing. But there's a campsite down
Jack's Fork?
Pardon?
Jack's Fork?
No. It's only about 10 miles downriver from
Well,
Montauk.
you're in Mark Twain National Forest right there on that boundary.
Yeah,
And you can camp, and Mark Twain goes all the way past DeSoto. I mean, it picks up and breaks apart. So I would just Google it. If you're looking for, campgrounds around Montauk, I would just type that into your search and just see what comes up.
okay.
But I don't know with the national forest. I don't know. I mean, I know Lane Springs technically is, and there's campsites there, but there's only 6 campsites. So you can go to Huzzah Valley and you can camp there, and that's a conservation area. But I would just do a search. And if anybody has any recommendations, they can send them to Walt. If not, all those little towns have fairly decent motels as well. If you're not up for loading the car and wanting to sleep in the car, the little motels seem to take care of you well. They're not bad.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Good luck. Good luck this week. Send pictures.
Okay, we'll get pictures of me falling in the water.
That'd be entertaining.
I'd pay $1 to see it.
You
A
wanna
little mini fundraiser going at your extent here. Oh, Chris just sent me a picture of a fly. That's a good looking fly. You got it where you can share the picture?
Huh? Oh, I can just put it on my camera.
Yeah. It's like pink and black.
Yep, pink and black with some regular, like just a crystal flash. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh,
Hey, has anybody fly fished on the Missouri River up in Montana?
no, just, no, not that area. Mostly around Craig.
Okay, because I'm going up there in July, and I'm gonna go up with Kitty House, and we're gonna take a boat for 3 days down the river.
You're gonna use a guide?
Kenny is my guide.
Oh, okay. I would call the servicing fly shop,
Yeah,
and find out what's cooking right now, because it can be kind of seasonal as far as fly selection.
Kenny House is from that area when he was in the Air Force.
yeah,
He knows that area like the back of his hand. You don't have to worry about anything, Walt.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to this. It's a once in a lifetime, I believe. He said the trout up there, the smallest ones are three pounders.
Yeah.
He said that he was going to be the oarsman, and he wants you to lose about 20 pounds before this trip.
You should go along with us and we can both look.
Man, oh man.
Hey, Terry, at least when I fall in, I don't have to wear a belt. My waders are hermetically sealed to my.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, on that note, we got a lot of states represented tonight. Again, this is really pretty cool, you guys, on our little combination here. And I keep looking up and I'm like, oh, I didn't see so and so was on here. I didn't see so and so, but I really appreciate everybody's time jumping on tonight. And again, Chris, great job tonight with it. It's not comfortable getting in front of the camera, and I like your camera. It's working well, and you did a great job tonight. You pulled it off as far as telling us all the way through it and walking us through that. So
I didn't realize I was going so fast.
Hey, Chris, you did a great job.
Did a good job.
You did a really good job, Chris.
I missed it, Chris.
Yeah. Interesting use of materials.
well,
I just playing around.
yep. and sometimes that's how it starts. I mean, as far as just figuring out different patterns. And I know early on when Chris and I were first talking, I'm like, I don't know, drop it in water, see what it does. Because again, understanding what you're trying to design on the hook, it really, it's great. And I think this is only the second time you've tied on camera, Chris.
Yep.
So
Yep.
super job. Really appreciate it. So who wants to tie next week? What are we going to talk about? I know hoppers came up
Kevin.
last week. Last week we were talking about, no, Kevin, you are not tying next week. I saw him. He already raised his hand. He's like, I'll tie. No, we'll get you some materials there.
A parachute. It's I kind of just designed it, and it's a parachute using peacock curl, and it looks pretty. It almost looks like an ant. If you want me to try it next week.
Okay, well, let me see, because I know the request was for hoppers, and I know big stuff. We've got to mix it up a little bit. And I know yesterday afternoon I went out a little bit and I was trying some more on the woolly bugger version. Let's hit some stuff that's actually right now for the hotter temperatures, so maybe little bit lower. As far as just some weighted or some soft hackle. Anybody have any suggestions on those? And then we can kind of get back to the dries and hoppers later, because those are great evening ones to hit. But anybody have anything on a
I have some
soft hackle?
How about bumblebees?
Well,
We could do
How
that.
about a Sakasa Kabari?
I did that
That
one.
sounds like a
kind-
Spanish meal.
I did that one, John, already. All you do is it's a soft hackle tied backwards.
That
Actually,
sounded
they're
like,
really good. It sounds like sushi. Yeah, something.
Yeah.
It is
like
yakasami.
we're about
It
to
is-
order some Chinese food or something.
Is yakasami rod or whatever.
Kasami
And the first time-
Takayama.
Yep. And the first time Steve said that, John hadn't seen him in about 2 years, and he looks at him and he wasn't quite sure if he should walk away or actually say something. And it was just that look. John just had this look like, I don't know if I should say anything, and I'm gonna just kind of stay polite. And then he realized he was joking about it. Anyway, it was actually really pretty. It was
Yeah.
comical. All right, so nothing, or should I just make it up for next week? Any suggestions? All right, so I'll make it up for next week because you guys are all so chatty. And
Michael's got a question, it looks like.
Oh, somebody raised their hand? What?
Yeah, Mike,
Oh,
unmute yourself, Mike. There you go.
There, okay. Amy, go ahead. I'll send you my link back out again. It has not changed.
Okay.
I'll be messing around a little bit tomorrow in CRM. I've got a couple notes I need to send you on email. But Thursday, we're going to talk about grass carp and grass carp flies.
oh, yeah.
tying up some mulberries.
Mulberries, well, we'll do all kinds of stuff. We'll talk about them.
When is this?
Yeah. So
Thursday.
Mike does another meeting on Thursday nights with Leavenworth, and I sent out that link last week, but he keeps the same link. So what I'll do is copy his into. Just don't want you guys getting too confused, so I try to send them out separately. If you want to join Mike, you want to do your email plug real quick, and they can jot it down, and they can contact you, and you can send them the link as well.
My email plug, my address.
Yep.
Oh, let me see here. If I'm a card.
Mike.
Yeah.
Mike dot.
Mike. Mike dot Swanson at projecthealingwaters.org.
Yeah, Amy, we've got the Omaha one is also Thursday night from 6 to 7, if anybody would like to join it. And
Yep.
I'll send you, I always send you the link anyhow, so.
And any of these, and again, I kind of hesitate as far as with sending them all on one, but
Yeah.
we can kind of start putting together a list as well, since those links aren't changing, that if you don't have anything to do and you're like, oh, I want to hop on this one on Monday night, You know, there's a lot of stuff going on still on the virtual side, and you can just, the nice part is you can just drop in. You can just watch it, and then, you know, you don't have to do it every single week. So if you can't make a Monday night, it's something different than on a Thursday night too. Jara, I see you're on the call. You're muted as well. But if you come off your mute, and you guys are on more of a different format for Johnson City, Tennessee, in regards to Facebook, but you guys meet on a very regular basis as well.
Did I
You're
just
still
happen
muted.
to sign on at a few minutes before 8 Eastern and miss the entire Woolly Bugger presentation?
You did.
Yep.
So we're
Okay.
we're 60. That's okay. Bob bets because I didn't convert it one of the times, and he actually got on the call an hour early on, I think, the first time. So Bob's in Virginia, and then we have Jim on. He's in Colorado. You guys have too many. There's a lot of time zones. It's 6 to 7 p.m. Central Time.
Got it.
So,
So,
but that's
well,
all right.
hate
Guess
it,
what?
hate I missed it.
Well, we recorded it, so Mick will be happy to share where it is hiding on YouTube.
Yeah,
And
just look
we'll-
up on YouTube, MICK11, and I'm gonna convert it. It takes about a half hour to convert, and then I'll put it onto YouTube. So within an hour, it should be there.
Same
have
place
sent
for
out-
last week's session as well?
Yes,
Very good. Thank you. Mike 11, is that what you said?
Mick, MICK11.
Oh, MICK. Okay, Mick 11.
Yep.
And how hard is it not to add on to that? MICKEY. How many people were sitting there saying that in the back of their head?
I said it out loud.
Oh, Mick, we love you.
Yeah.
Oh,
All
good
right.
night- Good
Well,
night,
keep it-
everybody.
Good night, all. And I will send out some links on these other ones, and I'll come up with something other than a small caddis fly, because I know you guys are getting tired of those. And Les is going to chime in with something, but maybe he'll tie an articulated fly next week.
There you go.
Hint, hint.
Like a game changer or something.
Okay.
I think he's already done that.
Well,
Thanks, everybody. Good night.
there's a few on this call.
Thank you. I enjoyed. Good night.
Thank you. Bye, Bob.
Right.
Good
Hey,
night,
Pat.
everybody. Thanks,
Bye,
Mick.
everybody.
Thanks for doing this.
You're welcome.